Is President Biden woke?
Hi, welcome back to The Soup. I'm your host in this miasma. I'm White House reporter Brian Karaman. Today, let's talk about what happens in the White House when I'm not there. Let's start. Take a look at this clip.
Is President Biden woke?
So let me tell you what the president cares about and what's important to this president. The president doesn't concern himself about what Republicans are trying to do in creating political stunts, in making an issue out of the things that they feel benefits them politically, not the American people, not what matters to the American people, but what benefits them politically for their own ability to move forward.
And now let's talk about a day when I was in the White House press briefing room and got to ask a question. Take a look at this.
Right here, Mr. President, real quickly, win, lose, or draw in this election, will you commit here today for a peaceful transferal of power after the election? There has been rioting in Louisville. There's been rioting in many cities across this country, red and your so-called red and blue states. Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
Mr. President, the second question is, will you...
Please, go ahead.
Why won't
you asked the question.
Mr. President?
Now, there are a lot of people who are going to say the first was a stupid question, the second was a great question. And a lot of people are going to say that the first one was a great question, the second one was a stupid question. And that either the president gave a stupid answer or gave a great answer, or Karine Jean-Pierre gave a great answer or a horrible answer. Look, let's break this down. There's no such thing as a bad question, only bad answers. Now, James Rosen from Newsmax, and a shout out to him because he's also a Beatle fan, does a wonderful John Lennon impression. But other than that, his question is not one that I would ask. Okay, it simply isn't one that needs to be asked. But if you're asking it, it's not a stupid question to ask. The question, it's the answer that matters. And Karine Jean-Pierre has been criticized often about being a lightweight in the press room. No, take a look at that exchange, the question and the answer. The reality is he asked a question for his audience. This is appearance art, folks. I mean, this is basically a performance. He performed and she performed. She gave a great answer. He gave a question that his audience wanted to hear asked. That's what we're there to do, hold the president accountable, and she's there to explain what the president does. That aside, okay, let's talk about people who've been criticized in the past for asking bad questions. There's the legendary response that happened during the Gerald Ford administration. Betty Ford apparently was in the East Wing talking with her press entourage when a young reporter asked her point blank, do her kids smoke pot? Now, everyone said, oh my God, that's a horrible question, terrible question. Oh my Lord, right up until the point where she said yes. Then the young reporter who asked it was brilliant. It's never about the questions. It's always about the answers. And that being said, of course, I wouldn't ask the president if he's woke. For me, people who have to explain that they're woke usually aren't. It's like the people on Twitter who say that they're, alpha males. If you got to label yourself, you're not that. So forget it. You're not an alpha male. You're not woke if you got to explain yourself. And you need to define what woke is. So, okay, I have problems with that particular question, and I have no problems with the answer. And honestly, asking that question opens her up to explain what the administration does. Then it may also further keep similar questions from being asked in the future, asked and answered. Now, if you think that this isn't all about the performance art, let me explain that to you as well. During I think it was during the early days of Clinton, there was a reporter in that briefing room that got called on all the time. And that reporter would always ask about Area 51, Bigfoot, and aliens from the Gazordian galaxy and lizard skin and all that kind of stuff. And one day, I think it was Mike McCurry, one of the reporters said, why do you keep calling on that guy? And he goes, because he makes the rest of you look stupid. Remember, this is a performance. If I really want real answers to questions, I go back and upstairs, back in the press offices and speak with the press officials myself without the glare of cameras. Don't tell me what reality is that because you've watched a briefing. The simple fact is clips from a briefing do not give you a great insight into what's really going on in that room. And let me give you some background. Reporters will talk to the press secretary and say, listen, I'm kind of interested in this subject. And the press secretary will put her staff or task his staff or her staff into looking up those issues. So when those questions come up in the briefing room, they're prepared. Gotcha questions. And that's what the woke question was. Okay. That was a gotcha, cheap gotcha question, but no foul there. If you're going to take that shot and the administration falls for it, like, say, Donald Trump, who 6 weeks before the insurrection confessed that he was going to lead an insurrection. Okay. And mine wasn't even a gotcha question. I just really wanted to know. No president of the United States had ever been asked that question. No president of the United States ever had to be asked that question. Donald Trump did need to be asked that question. And perhaps at the end of the day, Joe Biden needed to be asked that question. Not because Joe Biden has some strange idea of what woke is, but by putting rumors to rest. That's what is done best in the White House press briefing room. So stick around. There's a lot more to come when I'm actually there. So have fun. I'm Brian Kiram, and I'll catch you next time.
The best part of waking up? MAGA tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.